It is no secret to what we are experiencing in that country called Nigeria. But in this journey, we want to give you a little bit of an insight into the road to freedom that the organization NINAS, which is the Alliance of the Middle Belt to South, have put together to help us get out of the conundrum that we find ourselves in. And to that end, we are going to have a panel of speakers. And once they are done with their speaking, they're all going to speak for about 3 to 4 minutes. Then we're going to open up the floor for everyone to be able to ask questions or make comments. And please limit that to 1 minute. So without further ado, I'm taking a look here to see if I see Johnny. Johnny is going to talk to us about a little bit of the history of Nigeria. Is what we have today what we agreed to? And if not, what happened? Thank you very much, Johnny Nasike. If you can unmute yourself, and welcome. We're looking forward to what you have to tell us today.
Thank you, Jen. Thank you, MAJEURE and Njenje Media. Thank you to all the platforms that are going live right now. Thank you to everyone in the Zoom meeting. Yes, I can say emphatically that the Nigeria of today is in no way, shape, or form the Nigeria the founding fathers envisioned or put together. This is not the Nigeria we signed up to. Nigeria became an independent nation in 1960. When we went into that nation, we were 3 autonomous units called regions. There was the Eastern region, the Western region, and the Northern region. Each of these units wanted to be independent. They wanted to be autonomous. They had their constitutions. So Nigeria started with 3 constitutions by 3 independent blocks. In those constitutions, they had the power to generate electricity, the power over their educational system, the power over roads, they built roads, everything that they needed to do was within that those constitutions that they put together. Now there was a 4th constitution when they decided to form a federal government. A federal government is a union of constitutions. You don't become a federal government and you don't have independent federating units. So they came together and under that, united by that understanding that we are going to be a federal government. We were going to be totally autonomous. We were totally going to be independent. Just like 3 families going into a business venture together. That's what we were. You did not change your family to be part of that venture. You only relinquished certain rights to that venture with regards to your family. That's what Nigeria was. That's how we came up to 1963. There was some agitation for a 4th region, which now emerged as the Midwestern region. So the 1960 Constitution ended in 1963, and we kept moving on until 1966, and there was a military coup. That coup failed. The military that emerged after that were not the coup plotters. These were actually the people that stopped the coup. But that coup had devastated the political establishment, had devastated the government. So they were managing it temporarily until the civilian government could come back into shape so they could receive power again. Another coup took place, and then there was a war that followed. After that war, as a matter of fact, it was in May 27th, 1967, that for the first time, 12 states emerged. We never agreed to 12 states. It was the regions were dissolved and 12 states emerged. At the end of that war, a rogue federal government emerged out of that war, seized everybody's assets, and became the owners of the land. They started operating as the owners of the land. because the landowners never lost their sovereign. You can never lose your sovereignty. But this government started operating as the owners of the land. And this continued until we found ourselves in 1999, when a new constitution emerged that we did not sign. A small section of the country got together in rooms and put together a constitution for the entire system. This constitution was never subjected to plebiscite, no referendum, but emerged as the platform upon which this union now stood. This constitution was a unitary constitution parading as a federal constitution. If I can give you one example as to what Nigeria has become today, it is this. You're lying down in your bed, you wake up in the middle of the night and there's this person there. And you say, who are you? And the person says, I'm your spouse. And you're like, no, you're not. The person says, yes, I am. And then they pull out a marriage certificate. And you're like, I did not sign that. And they show you where your signature is. And you said, no, I didn't sign it. And they said, no, you did. Of course, we know it's a forgery. We did not make the constitution. And so that's exactly where we are right now. And I'm going to, and going back to that situation, this person that is now pretending to be your spouse has taken over your entire house, your kitchen, everything that pertains to your life. They are now running it. And they have put you in great danger. And that is where we are at this moment. And I'm going to stop right here for the sake of time. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Johnny. That was excellent. And can you imagine you're in your house and you wake up and all of a sudden somebody is in your kitchen, locked up your kitchen, and you can only have what they give you. That's what we're facing. Okay. And precious little that we're getting. Now, one of the very important things that Johnny said that I'm going to reiterate is the fact that Nigeria was 4 separate, self-autonomous, self-governing governments. That's the federal version. Now we are in unitary, one government. And the 3 of those independent governments were not asked and did not agree to this unitary Nigeria. So when we're talking about Nigeria, bear in mind, we're not referring to the one that the people agreed to. We are referring to the unitary Nigeria, which is illegitimate because the constitution upon which it is based is fraudulent. Now, I'm going to give you a quick run through of what has happened to set up this freedom road. Initially, there was an organization called the Movement for New Nigeria, or No Nigeria. And this was the organization that brought together the alliance of the Middle Belt, the Yoruba, and the Lower Niger. And as soon as that constitution was issued, they saw something very fishy in it because it did not resemble what it was supposed to be. And so they started taking actions to determine what exactly was the best way to take that down. And they decided it was that 1999 Constitution. Not only had it stolen all the assets and sovereignty, it actually had a setup that was going to lead us to apartheid. And would you believe that's exactly what has happened? So in 2006, there was a PRONACO where they got together to talk about what was going on in Nigeria. And from that, the Movement for New Nigeria with the Alliance has done a lot of things to set things up. If you look at 2007 to 2009, there was a lawsuit. Unitary Nigeria was sued over this constitution. And the group demanded that they produce the referendums that allow them to put that preamble, and that preamble in the Constitution, what that means is that it says, we the people. Well, it wasn't we the people. It was they, the military, with decree number 24 that put that in place. The government had no answer and kept running around, and that went as it did. Now, in between 2015 and 2018, each one of the ethnic nationalities did their solemn assembly. And in that solemn assembly, what it meant is that they categorically said they did not make that constitution and did not want that constitution and wanted that constitution to be gone. So the Lower Niger was in 2015, the Yoruba was in 17, and then the Middle Belt was in 2018. And this is something that a lot of people don't know. There's been a lot of engagement with the international community, with the US, for instance, between 2015 and 2020. There've been discussions on Capitol Hill, and I'm sure you've seen a lot of discussions in recent time. In 2019, I'm sure you saw where Nigeria was put on the watch list. And then in 2020, it made it onto the blacklist, okay? And then I'm sure you've seen in 2021, hearings continuing on the issue going on in Nigeria, and now specifically naming the herdsmen. What about the UN? They are engaged. In 2019, they sent out a special rapporteur, and this is someone that goes into an area that issue has been identified to provide an objective reporting to the world. And what she came back with was damning. She came back and she said that the constitutional arrangement in Nigeria was a powder keg. And if it exploded, and if those terrorists ever took over Nigeria, it would not just be a Nigeria problem. Forget West Africa problem, not even an African problem. It would be a world problem. 2020, another special rapporteur was sent out. And he came back and said, situation is getting worse, not better. Okay, and all this time, the ICC has been engaged, not just by the Movement for New Nigeria, but for lots of other groups in Nigeria, from especially the Alliance territory. And on December 11th, they finally issued the report. And what I found really interesting about that report is that they didn't just talk about the terrorists. They indicated that there was a reasonable basis to believe that the armed forces of Nigeria had committed crimes against humanity. That's pretty darn damning. Okay? And it listed everything, similar things to what the terrorists were doing, was listed there. Okay? So now, coming forward, the Movement for New Nigeria, after setting up the solution, is now moving forward as NINAS. And to that end, what I wanted to do again was to just give you a brief understanding that this is not just a plan that came up yesterday. It's taken 20 years, and everything necessary has been put in place. And now Donald is going to talk to you about, he's going to talk to you, actually Clifford is going to talk to you about that 1999 Constitution and what is wrong with it. And after him, Donald will then talk about NINAS and what it's actually doing. So Clifford, he's one of the really long-standing members of NINAS, and he has a really great understanding of the Constitution. And he's going to provide you some insight about what's wrong with it, and more especially, how is it causing yours and mine and our misery. Please, if you can unmute yourself, Clifford, because I saw you out there, that would be awesome. You are welcome.
Thank you very much. And I would also like to thank MAJEURE for giving us this platform, and welcome everyone watching us. My name is Clifford Chukwemeka, and I come from Njenje in Olu division in the southern part of Nigeria. Before I go into the 1999 Constitution, I just want to say this so that we understand that a constitution is the basis of the union of any country or a nation. And there are three things I want us to take away today. Number one is that a constitution is made and approved by the people. Please write that down. a constitution is made and approved by the people and not by the people's representatives, by the people. And that is why you have what is called the preamble. It says, we the people. That's number one. Number two, you also must note that anywhere in the world, I said anywhere in the world, a constitution is activated by a referendum. After writing it, after going through everything, it must be activated by a referendum. Then the other third thing I want us to note today is that a constitution is what defines the structure of a country. It defines the power and authority, and of course, it gives the rights to everyone in that country. Please watch my words carefully. The words I use, I said everyone, not just citizen. Because if you are not a citizen of Nigeria, there is a right for you in the Constitution of Nigeria, in a properly made constitution. So I said that it gives the right to everyone in that country. So those three things are things we must know. Now, let me go to the 1999 Constitution. The 1999 Constitution is a fraud, and you can ask me how. Why? How? Because it is a reincarnation of the 1979 Constitution. I don't want to bore you with the history here, but please do note it now that what you are calling the 1999 Constitution is a photocopy of the 1979 Constitution written by two persons with a correction by a Constituent Assembly, but with a veto by Obasanjo on 21st of September 1978. And he decreed it into a constitution without a referendum. Like I said before, some people will say, well, after all, the 1999 Constitution was made by a military. So, military, let me tell you this. The Ghanaian Constitution was made in 1994 by a military government led by the late Jerry Rawlings. It's called the PNDC, the Provincial National Defense Council. But what happened? After drafting that constitution, they subjected it to a referendum. That is how a properly made constitution looks like. And that's why I call it is a fraud. The other thing I want to say here is that Justice Nikki Toby was the head of a constitution debating committee. It took them 49 days, ladies and gentlemen, can you imagine 49 days to write or to produce? They didn't write a constitution anyway, they photocopied in 1979. It took them 49 days to produce a constitution. They were inaugurated on the 11th of November 1998, and they submitted their report on the 30th of December 1998. 49 days. 49 days is in the sense that the whole thing is 30 days, but when you see it, when they started their work on the 12th of November, till when they submitted on the 30th of December, that's 49 days to produce a constitution for a country as big as Nigeria. And that's why the Nigerian constitution is a crime, is a treason, and is an injustice against the people. You can ask me why. Let me explain. Number one is a basis of corruption. Section 6, subsection 6C, it nullifies every good thing that you have in chapter 2 of 1999, of that fraudulent 1999 constitution, which is a photocopy of 1979. Please pardon me, I will keep repeating this because I want it to sink. Number one, the constitution is fraud. Number two, it is a photocopy of the 1979 constitution, which was decreed into existence by Obasanjo, the head of state then. Number two is that it is a basis for escape from justice and atrocities committed by people and their misdeed. Why? In section 6, subsection 6D, the Constitution grants immunity to all the criminals from 1966 to May 29, 1999, including one of them who committed treason, who overthrew a democratically elected government on December 31, 1983. Anybody who is 50 years and above should be old enough to remember what happened on Saturday morning of December 31, 1983. That act I want anybody in this panel, anybody watching me, to debate me or to argue that what happened on December 31, 1983 is not a treasonous act, when a democratically elected government was overthrown. But the person should have been tried under Section 410 of Cap P3, Laws of the Federation 2004. But that's not possible because, why? Because Section 6, Subsection 6D grants immunity. Number 4 is that the Constitution is a basis for corruption, is a basis for avoiding responsibility. For instance, Section 308 is a section that grants immunity to office holders. Now, Section 81, Section 82, Section 121, and Section 122, these 4 sections give an open check to the president and to the governors to loot the treasury of the federal government and the state government respectively. The 1999 Constitution is a source of deprivation. Let me give you an example. Section 4, subsection 2, which is explained in Schedule 2, Part 1, has a list of 68 items through which we are all deprived of our natural resources, ability to police ourselves, ability to control our resources, ability to generate electricity, ability to build ports, ability to build airports, ability to do anything at all that we want to do. Section 4, subsection 2 is where we are deprived. The other thing I want to talk about is that we are being disenfranchised. We don't have that right to earn money that comes to us from our resources. Why? Section 162 is a section of the Constitution where there is something called a federation account. If money comes into that federation account, there are 3 conditions. Please, everybody, listen to me carefully. There are 3 conditions through which that money can be shared. So money generated from oil in Bayelsa State, when it goes into the federation account, there are 3 conditions for which it can be shared. Number 1 is the size of the state. Number 2, the population of that state. And number 3, the number of local governments. And of course, if you go to Section 3, subsection 1, and Schedule 2, and Schedule 1, Part 1, you will see the number of states and you see the number of local governments. So that you know, I just want you to do the mental calculation yourself. If Kano State will receive the same amount with Bayelsa State for oil that was sold and revenue brought into the federation account, just do the math yourself. I have just a few more points. I know I'm running out of time, but let me just say these few points. Number 6 is marginalization. The Constitution is the basis for marginalization. And let me say this point clear here for anybody. You may go and do your research. There is no way any part of Nigeria can produce the president of Nigeria unless it is in favor of the economic and political interests of the North. I say it is absolutely impossible. Why? Because of 3 things in the Constitution. 1, Section 3. 2, Section 48. 3, Section 49. This section made it impossible for, in fact, not even, if you even take all this out, Section 134, subsection 2. In fact, everybody listening to me now, write down this section I'm talking about. Section 134, subsection 2. Write it down. If it is the only thing you can get in my presentation, I'm okay. Section 134, subsection 2. It is absolutely impossible for any non-northerner to be the president of Nigeria unless that person is going to work according to the whims and caprices of the northern part of Nigeria. 2 more points and then I leave. The 1999 Constitution is the basis of high cost of governance. 80% of the national budget is used to service politicians and political office holders. Second to the last, federal character. The federal character is destroys meritocracy and everything that has to do with quality. Ladies and gentlemen, let me shock you with this information. You don't need to have a certificate or even go to school to contest for any position in Nigeria. Why? Because Section 318, subsection 1, makes it very clear that all you need is for you to be certified to be able to read and write by INEC. Let me repeat that, because when you say things twice, it's thinking. You only need to be certified to be able to read and write by INEC, not by Ministry of Education, INEC. Section 318, subsection 1, and then you can contest for any position in Nigeria. You don't need to go to school. You don't need to have a certificate. Go and check it out, Section 318, subsection 1. And the last one I need to say is that the Nigerian Constitution is a source of impoverishment. It has dehumanized, it has abused, it has stigmatized, it has intimidated, and it has exterminated the citizenry. And that is why the best thing we can do is to decommission that document. And I'll leave you with this question. Please, I want you to answer, maybe at any time. Did anybody, for those who are 50 years and above, and those who are lower, did you or your parents ever vote in a referendum to activate the 1999 Constitution, considering that a Constitution is activated by no other thing except referendum? Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Clifford, for that very informative. And folks, the reason that we're going through this is not just so that we can prove that we know the Constitution. It's to let you know that it is in that Constitution that the misery that you see is happening. Just last week, well, this week, right? 5 universities now have as their, I think the president of the universities, 5 Fulanese in the South. NNPC, 20 of the top positions, Fulanese. And that goes on and on. You see what's going on with Dangote and that monopoly. You see what's happening with insecurity and the impunity that goes with it. Federal character, do you want to try to enforce that? Guess what? The court wouldn't let you. Oh, and I have to leave you with this one before Donald comes on. You know, if you look in chapter 2, it says that citizens have all these wonderful benefits. But as Clifford said, in section 6, subsection 6C, if you tried to go to the court to say that your governor or your federal government is not providing any of that, you know what they will tell you? Sorry, we have no jurisdiction. You, my friend, we, my people, have no rights to benefits that we can enforce in Nigeria. And that's why the NINAS plan of taking this down is based on the fact that we're living in apartheid. You and I and our future generation, if we don't do something, are living in apartheid similar to South Africa. So on that note, I'm going to bring up Donald Egbo, and he's going to talk about NINAS and what that plan is. And he's also going to explain and talk about what the constitutional force majeure is. Donald Egbo, thank you very much. He is a standing member for a very long time, and he's been producing a lot of the information, videos, etc., that we're going to be using to sensitize the people around the globe. Donald, you're welcome.
Yeah, good evening all. Thank you very much, Jen. I was just scrolling around to see the faces of everybody, and I noticed that everybody felt very bad after Clifford. Dr. Clifford spent his time to educate us on the evils of this illegitimate 1999 Constitution. Anyway, because of this, that is why we have, we've been working for a very long time and we've gotten to where we are today. So I'd like to take us through a ride about NINAS as a vehicle and how and why there was the constitutional force majeure. far back 2005, when the alliance vehicle then, that was the Pro-National Conference Organization, that's PRONACO. PRONACO had actually made efforts to communicate with the federal government of President Obasanjo on to see reasons why the imposed constitution was not just illegitimate, but one that had several flaws, like what Clifford just talked about, and did not have the capacity to keep us united, and also had several flaws that was certain that we could not make any advancement. So like Jen had talked about the alliance, you know, the alliance, we moved to the vehicle of the movement for no Nigeria, though it's actually, they say it's a movement for no new Nigeria. It was actually movement for no Nigeria. And on the 23rd of May, 2007, there was a case filed in the Federal High Court, Abuja, challenging the legitimacy of this illegitimate 1999 constitution. Even though the federal government sent its representatives and National Assembly, they didn't have any defense for it. The only thing they said was all these things the legal people say. They say the plaintiff did not have the locus standi, meaning in English that the plaintiff had no statutes at law to bring in the case. But they could not say if this constitution was illegitimate or not. Out of frustration, so there was a need to have an alliance, as at that time, that was going to take us to the options that we had left. And that was to explore our rights to self-determination of indigenous nationalities. Hence, the new vehicle being set up to carry the Indigenous Nationalities Alliance for Self-Determination. That is how NINAS came about. Because of all these frustrations, we had to explore the last option. So on the 16th of December, 2020, the Nigerian Indigenous Nationalities Alliance for Self-Determination declared a constitutional force majeure. By that action, the indigenous nationalities, the alliance had publicly given the federal government of Nigeria notice to the fact that the basis for the union of Nigeria being the 1999 constitution could no longer hold due to certain circumstances, disputes and grievances that we all know, like what Clifford was talking about. And because the alliance is civil, we are not violent people. So we gave NINAS gave the federal government 90 days to publicly acknowledge these constitutional grievances and sovereignty disputes as declared by the peoples of the South and the Middle Belt of Nigeria. NINAS also requested that within 90 days, within that same 90 days, the federal government should commit to begin the decommissioning process of the 1999 Constitution as the basis of the Nigerian Union. And you know, because most Nigerians actually think that it's actually very difficult to decommission a constitution, NINAS had given examples where such activities, events had happened, like in South Africa, where the apartheid constitution was decommissioned, and in Chile and Algeria, where they had military constitutions and they were decommissioned. People did not die. The government did not faint. It was done. NINAS also requested that, I would like to use the word, the unitary government of Nigeria should make a formal announcement suspending all further national elections conducted under the illegitimate 1999 Constitution. Because for every elections, when you have winners, the winners will have to be sworn in by that same constitution. And that means that when you swear in any other person on that constitution, you're giving it 4 more years of life. And we do not have that patience, given what we have now known, or what everybody now knows about the evils of this constitution. So NINAS also requested, when that is done, that the government should formally invite the peoples of the South and Middle Belts to work out modalities for the transitioning process. And lastly, Nina said that the federal government should, within 90 days, formally initiate a time-bound transitioning process that will midwife the emergence of a fresh constitutional protocol by 2 stages. The first is that the constituent regional blocks should first distill and rectify their various constitutions by referendum. And the second stage, these regional blocks will come to the center to negotiate the terms of federating afresh, as may be dictated by the outcome of the referendum conducted in the said regional blocks. Just like Dr. Clifford had said, that there is no constitution that can come to life without a referendum. So NINAS, having known that, made it clear that the federal government should look at that as one of the things that they would do that would be acceptable to the indigenous nationalities. So in essence, what NINAS is doing is actually to recover and restore the stolen sovereignty of the indigenous peoples which was taken with the imposition of this 1999 Constitution. Like the preamble says, that we, the people, haven't agreed to enact the following constitutions for ourselves. By that statement itself, I had to cut in between out. By that statement itself, it shows that they have lied, that we signed the document. We ran a referendum that made us willingly hand over our assets in Bayelsa to Kano State at will, hand over our assets or rights to produce electricity for ourselves to some people we do not know. Like Johnny had given an example, you see, the consequences of this illegitimate 1999 Constitution on the South and the Middle Belts it can be likened to you being continuously paying an alimony for a failed marriage you had never consented to. That means you're paying alimony for marriage you did not consent to. I mean, a marriage with a forged certificate that has your signature on it, and you did not sign it. And by virtue of that certificate, you are bound to keep paying some money to some people you do not know. You know, and that forced marriage, this is the forced marriage that has cost you your resources, your benefits, rights, and your economic, cultural, and social development. Something that is false. You know, so in this case, NINAS is saying that since we had challenged the legitimacy of this forged marriage certificate in courts with no answers as to when we agreed to it, and the beneficiary has refused to come for talks with us, we have no choice but to explore our fundamental rights to self-determination in an effort to restore not just our resources, but our sanity, because it's getting us mad, our freedom, by publicly declaring that the forged document is null and void until all grievances and disputes are resolved. So basically what NINAS is doing is, like the doctor said, that the Constitution is the basis of the Union of Nigeria. And that Constitution is a false base of our union. So what we are trying to do, and why we need everybody to work with us, is to help us pull out that carpet that is putting all of us into slavery. And when we pull out that carpet, we can now, like defeat request that was made to the government, demand that was made to the government. So it will allow us, because when you remove the basis of a union, that union does not have a base. For the union to become a union again, we have to go and create that base by referendum. So during the referendum or after the referendum, we can decide how we are going to go and renegotiate our federating terms. We can decide to say we do not want to continue. We can decide to say we want to continue, but if we continue, you are not going to take our property and give us the crumbs. We will manage our property and make our contributions to you as it was agreed on from the beginnings of the days of the founding fathers of this country. So it's
Thank you very much,
unfortunate.
Donald. If you can please wrap up, that would be awesome. Thank you.
Okay, I'll leave you to continue. I'm done. Thank you.
Thank you very much. That was a lot of information there, so thank you very much. But the key things that Donald is talking about is this. We, the people, have the power, right? It is our constitution. And ethnic nationalities under the UN Charter have their sovereignty. And that sovereignty, as they say in English, is inalienable, meaning you can't take it. See, militaries will hijack it. Some other countries would hijack it, colonize it. But when we come to our senses and recognize the fact that, wait a minute, we're in charge, then we can go after it. And then some people will ask, constitutional force majeure, what's that? Isn't it a legal term? What's that going to do? Well, the Constitution is a social contract. And then some people will say, well, how about we just amend it? Do you know the number of sections in that thing? But anyway, guess what? The good news for us is you can't amend something, a fraudulent contract. It has to be decommissioned. It has to be ended. And through that constitutional force majeure, the ethnic nationalities has repudiated, rejected, said no more, no mass, we're done, we're out. So they're taking the power back. Okay? And so that gives a lot of coverage for the ethnic nationalities. I'm just going to use one example. I'm sure you saw when the Southwest governor said that the herdsmen, the killer herdsmen, need to go out of their forest. And the federal government screamed. Mieti Allah screamed some more. And the Bauchi and Zamfara government, governors, those ones who support the terrorists, came out and said, oh, heck no. And the Southwest governor says, you guys better come have a conversation with us because the times have changed. And they came to have the conversation. And the times have changed because the power is shifting. The constitutional force majeure is shifting the power, okay? And so, without further ado, we are going to have the next bit that's going to talk about what has happened since that constitutional force majeure. And we have Dr. Rotimi. Dr. Rotimi, where are you? I saw you earlier. Dr. Rotimi is going to talk about that. What has happened, including what I was alluding to, since that constitutional force majeure through to when the World Press Conference was given on March 17th. Dr. Rotimi.
Thank you very much, Jean, and thank you, moderator. I also want to thank the audience for creating time to join us for this meeting. I know this is a weekend where people want to rest, but I appreciate your being here. Where are we? Before I continue, let me quickly say, share what I experienced this week as I went to commiserate the death of the popular journalist, Yinka. I'm sure most of us know Yinka here, that died last week, who is the General Secretary of Afenifere. The leader of Afenifere is Chief Adebanjo. So I went to his house to commiserate the death of Yinka. And while I was there, I met a very popular politician who came also to commiserate with him. When he finished and was going, I think Papa asked him one question. He's very popular with the Northerners. He has been obnobbing with them and enjoying what they're doing. So he now said, by the way, he's from the Southwest. He said, by the way, what are you doing about this restructuring? He said, are you talking to your friends in the North that you consider restructuring? I said, no, Baba, don't mention it. You better not mention it to them. Restructuring. And that's very touchy for me at this level that we are. But why the constitutional force majeure came up, well, we must all realize that we have been enjoying a military government till now. It's a military government. and they have been imposing the authority, oppressing the nation. The Constitution, as we know from all you've heard, a forged document imposed on the people. And between you and I, you know any forged document cannot do anything. So if it's a forged document, that means you cannot do anything about it. You cannot amend it. You cannot correct it. It is forged. It is forged. It's false. And it's illegal. So by the way, as we call ourselves Nigerians right now, we're operating an illegal nation. And I don't know how you feel about that you're in an illegal environment. If anything happens to you, you're on your own. That is the situation in Nigeria at this moment. And so what the constitutional force majeure has done is to take us out of this situation and push us forward. In a layman's language, what is constitutional force majeure? Is the umpire. When there is a quarrel, to find somebody who wants to mediate. Constitutional force majeure is also a mediator, is a referee, is an arbitrator to the people of Nigeria. And so that is what the constitutional force majeure has come to know. After this CFM came up, there's been a lot of reactions, especially from the north. Why? Because it's touching the area they don't want to touch. Now, the force majeure is saying, right now, we have considered restructuring. A lot of people have been agitating for restructuring. We've heard of iPod, we have of DUA, we've had a lot of restructuring. But I think the struggle has been, there's no action that has been taken like what the force majeure is doing. That, okay, let's pull down this constitution. Let's decommission it. And once we do that, then we're ready to go. So that is now agitating, because a lot of agitation, G3 in the north. What is the first one? On the December 16, 2020, this constitutional force majeure went to action. The next thing that will happen is on December 22nd, about a week after it, Gabashew, the SSA media to the president, says it's time to stop X-Men from roaming. That's the first thing he said. You say, okay, maybe they are making progress. The next time, December 28th, the Northern elders met, saying they are ready for restructuring. These are the people who have been saying no to restructuring. I don't know whether it's good to believe them. And the person that even said that was Professor Ango Abdullahi. Most of us know him. Then suddenly, Ondo State governors, the Southern West governors, order armed men out of the forest. Federal government intervened, but they eventually retreat as usual. Next, the senators agreed to end open grazing. What next? El-Rufai that has been killing people, even giving money to people who came to kill, came up with an agenda. It calls for end in open grazing and no amnesty for X-Men terrorists. All of us know what is done with terrorists. He also came up with this, that they hold a conference to pull the country back from the brink of collapse. Then the National Assembly, that is supposed to represent all of us, says they can make constitution amendments in 10 days. I don't know how that is possible. Because you see, we have a lot of people in this country, different community. I don't know how you can make such happen in 10 days, but they said they will do it. It's such a magic. Then Buhari issues shoot on sight order. You can wonder who will shoot on sight. Next, there's significant increase in those calling for constitution to be decommissioned. But by the way, NINAS is part of the people coming for this. Just about a few weeks ago, you heard that Gumi was doing something very abnormal. trying to attack those things, saying that the Christian armies are the one killing the Earthman, the people who are destroying people all over the place. And just last week, this same Gumi, that's what is very touchy, visited Obasanjo, former president, to, come and judge up. I don't know what they are talking about. But why is he doing that is that Obasanjo has always been their man, part of them. So he felt that when it comes to the South, he's getting the support of the Satana to do whatever they want to do. Then, I think it was last week, there was a colloquium for Tinubu in the North, specifically in Kano. Kano State governor invited Tinubu for his birthday. And then one of our men from the Southwest, who is the VP, Oshibajo, said, those who are clamoring for secession should stop because he will not be able to get visa to go to Kano. And that really brings him so low because to start with, all of us with our passport right now, we have a passport that can go ECOWAS passport. So they are just jittery. Then today, I just look at the paper today, the Tribune of today. If you look at the Tribune of today, you will see Northern Elders finally endorsed the restructuring of Nigeria, said it is the necessity for unity. And then they went on to say something that I think if I can get it, said, the North believes that restructuring the country is now a vital necessity for survival as one united entity. That's what they're saying. Now, these are some of the things that have been achieved because of the constitutional force majeure. Those who had that meeting, they spent 2 days on the 7th and 8th. The group is called AGF and then National Elders Forum. And 15 other groups from the North took this decision. In rounding up, I just want to say, quote Cassin West, who says, timing and accuracy is really what matters at the end of the day. Timing and accuracy is really what matters at the end of the day. If you look at the constitutional force majeure, you will know it's an accurate instrument. And I think this is the right time to enforce it. Thank you very much. God bless.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Yeah, one of the things that you guys will note is that all of a sudden, everything becomes possible. They think that they can throw certain things at NINAS so that they can back up. But we're going for the whole shebang because that is necessary. That document cannot be amended because it is fraudulent. Secondly, there is just way too much in there. That what are you going to leave, actually, is the question. There really isn't much that you're going to leave. And I think, Dr. Rotimi did not mention the fact that all of a sudden, I think it was last week, there was headlines. No one can remove Buhari from office. Have you ever seen that before? Somebody's feeling really afraid, aren't they?
Yes.
So,
yes.
as long as we, the people, step up, we're going to get to the promised land. So 90 days was given to the government, but it's not to get their approval. The 90 days was for them to be part of the transition government, as happened in South Africa, because the ethnic nationalities are moving forward with or without them, because we are ethnic nationalities, we have a sovereignty, and no one can take that away from us. So we don't need the federal government. It's a courtesy to have them be a part of the process. Now, we're going to talk about what is happening now following that March 17th World Press Conference that was hosted by Njenje, who did a phenomenal job. And we had over 4 million people viewing. Okay, so what is happening? What did they say? What's happening now? What are we doing? Where are we going? We've got someone from the Middle Belt, Mr. Yakubu Aboki, who's going to talk about that and tell us what is happening. Mr. Yakubu, if you can please unmute yourself, and you are welcome. Go ahead, Yakubu. You are on. We can't hear you yet. Hello, Yakubu. You might try turning off your video so that your audio can be heard. Okay, go ahead. We still can't hear you yet. Okay, while we're waiting for him, why don't we go ahead and have Meg, Lady Meg, who is going to talk to us about the things that NINAS is doing currently to move things along. Meg is an iron woman for NINAS, and she is very passionate about what we're doing, and she's going to talk to you. She's a great mobilizer, and so she's going to talk to you about what NINAS is doing and how it's reaching the people.
Thank you very much, Jean, and thank you, Njenje TV, for having me here today. Thank you, everybody watching. I'm very pleased to be here to talk about the mobilization of NINAS, talking to the people of Nigeria, outside Nigeria, inside Nigeria, mobilizing the people, making sure that they know that power is in their hands. Because at the end of the day, the people who are ruling Nigeria today were given the power, without which they won't have the power. But many people in Nigeria today think that, oh, we have to wait for the government. Oh, we have to do this. We have to wait for our governors. We have to wait for the politicians. We don't have to wait for nobody. We have to take the power. They have to know that they have that power. So we've been talking to people. We have been having vox pops outside. You see young people talking to people outside, talking to market women and men, talking to the traditional rulers, talking to the elders, talking to civil society organizations, talking to holding town hall meetings, and so on and so forth. Quite a lot of things have been going on since, especially since the Constitution force majeure by NINAS. So we have been going about with the petition. People will be signing this petition. We've been giving it to people. People have been signing the petitions online. We're also on the street encouraging people to sign the petitions so that through the petition, we can get to the referendum, and encouraging them that if nothing happens, then the life of the Constitution should not be renewed, because the lifeblood of the Constitution naturally is by elections. So there shouldn't be anything like elections. So this is what we are doing now. We are now taking the whole thing to the people, the owners of the country, the people who put the people in power, telling them that, look, time is up. This is why you are the way you are. That's the Constitution is the basis of why things are happening. And if we do not renew it, then we will go to referendum. Then the Constitution will come down. So this is basically what we are doing now. We are also having street rallies. We are having the street rallies. I know that some of the street rallies, there was a street rally that a friend of mine did in Port Harcourt. It was a party, as a matter of fact. It's a NINAS party, but it was disrupted as usual. But what we are trying to do is tell them that you have the power, do it, and do it peacefully. So what we are doing is doing a peaceful mobilization of the people on different levels, on students level, on level of men and women, level of the youths, the boys, the girls, and all, and so on and so forth. And we are doubling our powers and our energies and our focus. So basically, that's what we're doing. Thank you very much, Jean, and thank you, Njenje.
Awesome, Meg, awesome. What this is talking about is the fact that we are not waiting for the government. We are not waiting for anyone to give us permission, because we do have the permission. And so we are moving forward with getting the people that have already told us that they want a referendum, to get them to sign the petition, and then to get them ready for that referendum. And very important, one of the things that we haven't talked about already is the fact that, do you know what keeps that constitution in place? Well, it's the politicians. They get to swear it in every 4 years and say, we swear to uphold all of this. So you can understand why they are clamoring to go to 2023. Why wouldn't they be? Senators clear what we can see, $600,000 a year in the poverty capital of the world. And oh, by the way, you do know there is 109 of them, 360 of the House of Reps. How many governors? 36, and all of their deputies. Are you adding it up? So when Clifford said 80%, I think he meant 110%. All the money of the land is going to less than 0.01% of the people. And so, if we want to succeed, we have to mobilize the people, get them to understand who holds up that constitution, get them to understand that that constitution is what's the source of their misery, and we're shutting down the process. And as Dr. Rotimi knows, the Yorubas have already started that process to shut it down. Okay, because without politicians, guess what? That constitution is not going to have anyone to renew it who is going against the people who have issued the constitutional force majeure. Okay, Yakubu, Mr. Aboki, where are you? I can't see you. I don't know if you're still okay. If you are, could you unmute yourself and let's see if you can go on to tell us what happened on the 17th and where we're headed. Are you still in here? Okay, I just looked. I don't see him. Donald, do you see him?
I don't think Yakubu is there.
Yeah,
I'm
he
looking
was,
at him.
but he couldn't speak. So I'm trying to see if he's come back in. Give me a minute.
Yakubu is there. Yakubu is there. He's been unmuted.
Okay, I see him now. Go ahead, Yakubu. Let's try this time again.
Great.
Go ahead,
He's not
Yakubu.
even hearing us.
Yakubu, yeah, I can see. We can't hear you. Yeah, I can see you, but we can't hear you. We can't hear you. Take your video off again. Try taking your video off again.
I think, Yakubu, if you're using a headset, can you kindly remove your headset?
Okay, yeah.
Oh, that's nice.
Hello. Yeah. There you go. Thank you, Mazi, for coming up with that solution.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can. Go ahead.
Good evening, everybody. God bless you all, wonderful people. Thank you for the time. Thank you for the endurance and everything. Is what we're doing is what we're doing for motherland. We love our country so much. There is no place like home. Even if you give me the White House, I'll still be proud to be a Nigerian. Anytime, any day, with my last blood. God bless you. I'll start like this. The great civil rights activist Martin Luther King said this: there comes a time when silence is a betrayal. And there was this book I read some years ago. It was written by David Nolly, The Man in the Mirror. He said the process is as important as the result. On March 17, an international press conference was held by the co-convener of NINAS and the person of Professor Akintoye, where 4 million viewers all over the globe watched that process unfold and what was done. Going forward after then, there's been a 90 days ultimatum, a 30 days ultimatum given to the government of Nigeria. But the fact remains that after that ultimatum, NINAS did not just close shop. They went ahead to negotiate and consult with lawmakers in particular. I know somebody will ask me, why lawmakers in particular? The reasons being that these are the same guys who seems to be in the forefront of everything we do. Anyhow you look at it, the legal angle of these things, and they have a way of even frustrating the whole system altogether. So NINAS are negotiating with them, talking to them, trying to see a possibility of having a transitional government, a transitional process. So by so doing, they will make sure that this process does not continue any longer. Because don't forget, the CFM has been issued. So taking it from that angle too, they're going forward to consult with the same guys. They're consulting also with traditional institution, traditional system, the international communities within Nigeria. Now, somebody might ask, after the 90 days, what happened? NINAS are not taking it lightly. They still have other game plans in which they've thought out in executing their set goals and agenda. So I make this bold submission too that NINAS is divine, is coming at the right time, and this process precisely hinges on the masses, the people, the ordinary people. That is why they are different. They are looking at the possibility of putting the people first. And the truth must be told anywhere in the world. I heard all the various speakers, they've spoken nicely, wonderfully, but the truth also must be told once again that every constitution derives its power from the people. Sovereignty is from the people, not from the government, not from anybody, but the masses, the poor people. So any constitution that has ever been written without the people in entirety makes it makes it a sham, sort of. And that is what it is. And that is what the 1999 Constitution is all about. That's a fact that we cannot run away from. Going forward also, I've seen wonderful questions that these Fulani people are like this, they're like that, they're like this. The Fulanis did not seek for my idea before they are infringing on my fundamental human rights. They go to my backyard, they go to my farm, they slay people. Why am I going to seek for their idea in recovering my country, my stolen identity? Why am I going to seek for their idea? So the work NINAS are doing is putting the people at the front, making the people understand we are very powerful. Let nobody deceive us. We are powerful. They can't kill all of us. We're powerful. That's the truth about it. So it's either we start believing in ourselves that as far as we come on together as a block, we are able to do so many wonderful things. Put everything aside. Let's inch forward. Let's come together and do this with the coordination of NINAS, putting the people at the forefront. I think this is very, very possible. Sovereignty, as I've said, belongs to the people. It does not belong to lawmakers. It does not belong to any chief. It belongs to the people. So I don't know if a proper definition of the people if it is not me, you, and everybody on this platform.
Okay.
Yeah, parting short, I will advise us and urge that we work together in a closed circuit, and God will help us all. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Yakubu, for that insightful. Just to be sure, as we said earlier, the government was invited to be part of the process, the federal government, and now we are working with the state government to bring them to. Meg, could you please mute your line? Thank you.
Oh, sorry.
And so to bring them to the process to be the transition, and we're working with the ones from the Middle Belt to the South, okay? So they can be part of the transition government. Again, as Meg said, we're moving forward. Everything that we need to do to get the constitutional force majeure in place is happening. We're not waiting for anybody. We don't need to. The power belongs to you, the people. It belongs to the ethnic nationalities. NINAS is the ethnic nationalities. And so they can stand for the people and they can reach out to the people and get the process going. So I'd like to thank all the presenters today. And this is the point where we're going to be handing back to Mazi, because so that we can take questions and comments. And just so that you are aware, we do have Tony Nadi, and he is going to be able to answer some of the questions that you're going to be bringing up. He is the expert, and he has been shepherding this process for a while. And so Mazi, I am going to hand back to you so that you can take us through the rest of the process. Thank you all very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you everyone once more for joining the conversation this afternoon. I am still Mazi Ezeoke, and you are still on to Njenje Media TV. And we are live on various media platforms, or social media platforms, sorry. So now is the time that we can take your questions. Obviously, some of you, and depending on when you joined us, you've had some brilliant presentations and submissions. I'm kind of sitting down here, listening from Donald, Jane, Aboki, and everyone basically thinking, what in the hell? How did we get down here? And how are we still sitting down? We're not able to kind of wiggle ourselves out of this place we find ourselves.
Yeah, the quagmire we're in.
Exactly. So it's, sometimes it takes a lot of energy away from you just thinking about it and saying that no single person in this union is happy. No single person is happy, yet you are in a very abusive relationship. No one is getting out. There must be a way to get out. On that note, I'll start taking questions. So I'm aware, Tony, can you say hello? Because before Tony, if you can unmute yourself, just take a second, say hello, then we can take your questions.
Oh, well, hello, everybody. Been listening like everybody else. Glad to have all of you present here.
Okay, Tony, I know you're listening, and I was observing you while you were listening. I could see something beside you. Afterwards, you owe me one too.
Man, I'm celebrating. The guys have.
I can see that.
The house is crumbling.
Okay, so we're going to. What I would want us to do, Tony, so that we don't make this back and forth, we take at least about 2-3 questions at once, then we clear them, we come back, and if there are more. So I'm going to take the first question from Ugochukwu. Ugochukwu, can you quickly unmute yourself and ask your question? Ugochukwu, can you Mwagazi, can you please ask your question? Okay, not ready. Can we have a question from Vincent? Vincent, can you unmute?
Yeah, thank you very much, Mazi, and thank you to the previous speakers. My name is Vincent. I represent Schengen Story from Bologna, Italy. I have seen people make comments about the fact that whatever the North is trying to do, people from the North is trying to do, for instance, trying to make moves seeming to suggest that they support restructuring or that they support the change of the constitution now, should be seen as what it is, a delayed strategy, to buy time and then implement other things they want to do. And I'm glad I've seen some people here to, echo that thought. Now, I also remember that recently in an interview, the governor of Ekiti State, that's Fayemi, Governor Fayemi, a high-ranking member of the APC, recently was asked that question, about the need for a change in the constitution. And what he did was smartly push it to the National Assembly. Now, I know that it's impossible, almost so far, to do something like that without the National Assembly, the lawmaking body. And we also know that this National Assembly at the moment of this present government is like a rubber stamp. Now, how do we hope to achieve this without the National Assembly, knowing that their body language is always is not for the people, they are not for the people, they're always pro-government, whether the policy coming from the executive is for the people or not, they would endorse it. How do we hope to achieve this with such a National Assembly as what we have today? Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. The next question is going to come from Marcel. Marcel, can you make it quickly, please?
Okay, Njenje Media, thanks so much. Your platform has been a good platform for most of us. I was wondering if this conversation can actually be held on EIT antennas. I know the current government will never allow that. But quick one, let me quickly ask my questions. I went through the constitutions of Nigeria, and I just found out that the last constitution, I might be wrong, that had referendum, like some kind of agreement, was a 1963 Federal Westminster Constitution that brought about 4 regions. Okay, four regions: the North, the West, and the Eastern, and then the Midwest. Okay, and then it was that section. It was what was happening then when the coup came in. And then when Aguiyi-Ironsi came in, Aguiyi-Ironsi simply appointed administrators for each of the region. So that regional structure was still in place. And then when Gowon came in, Gowon, destroyed the region and created states. Now, my question is this. If we are going back, are we going back to the 1963 constitution? Is your proposition, say, let's go back to this, because that was the last constitution that has referendum? That is one. 2, is your proposition to destroy this constitution and we don't have anything and we start afresh? Now, knowing that power nature avoids vacuum, there will be vacuum. So you're looking at transitional government. The last time I asked the senator on if somebody brought that sort into the Senate, if it could take it, because he simply told me they will throw it out because it is against the 1999 constitution. And you are going to a court that will be adjudicating you based on the 1999 constitution. So I don't know how you want to go about this, where you are telling somebody to destroy the basis on which he's going to use to judge you. I need clarity on that.
Thank you very much, Marcel. Michael, Chris, can you quickly unmute yourself? Michael, Chris, please.
Yeah, Christ is King.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Can you hear me?
Go ahead.
I really I have listened very, very carefully with interest in all of the presentations. I know that presentation and discussion can be the beginning of a good revolution towards good. This situation, I am based in the US, but I'm in Nigeria now. I lived in the US for quite a while. Coming back to Nigeria, I have culture shock. Nigeria is much, 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 much worse than I had thought, much worse than it was. But it is not something that cannot be fixed, or something can be done about this. Again, let me go back to the part I pointed out that this kind of discussion is a good beginning for a revolution. But my question is, words are very cheap. When are we going to act towards seeing a new Nigeria? We can continue to talk like this and our grandchildren will grow gray hairs, and yet there is no change in our system. The whole system is bad. God told in the book of Isaiah chapter 1, God said to Israel that the whole head is sick, from the top of the head to the sole of the feet. There are sores. The whole system is bad, so corrupt, truly and truly corrupt. So if we plan on just dividing it or changing regions or changing leadership, what about the system itself? I don't even know how to put this. It was Rawlings who made a statement that he will so change the system of Ghana that even if the devil became the president of Ghana, he will not find any place to hide. What are we talking about this system? When are we going to see action towards a real change? Again, I submit to you, I don't have the answers to you, my brothers and my sisters.
Thank you very much, Michael Christ the King. Then I'm going to be Clifford, if you would wait after the intervention. Is that too urgent? I would ideally want, Tony Nadi to take these 3 questions. Then afterwards, after Tony, if you need to make further clarification, Clifford, then I'll let you in, then you can do that as well before we take the next round of question and round up. Tony, you have the floor now. Tony, are you still there?
I can see him, but I don't see his volume up.
Yeah, I don't know. Tony, if you by any chance have inserted a headset in your device, can you kindly remove? Okay, while I'm waiting on Tony, Clifford, can you, it appears you want to take some of those questions.
Yes, I would like to take all of them, not just some of them. Number one question has to do with somebody talking about National Assembly. Please let me, I don't know, probably I wasn't clear enough, but let me make this assertion. It is not the job of National Assembly to make a constitution. You know, the way I started here, and I don't know if the person joined right on time when I was speaking, I said a constitution is made and approved by the people. It's not made and approved by a representative of the people. Now, let me make this point clear for the guy that asked the first question. It is when the constitution is in place that there will now be a National Assembly. You don't have a National Assembly first before a constitution. So you can see why it is important that the people make the constitution, and then from the constitution, just like in section 47 of the 1999 constitution, says that there shall be National Assembly. Then when you go to section 48 and section 49, it now delineates between the House of Assembly and Senate. Say one should be 3 per state plus federal capital territory, that's 109. The other one should be 360. That's the constitution dictating the National Assembly. So that means there is a constitution first before a National Assembly. That is one point I want to make clear. Then number 2, somebody talked about referendum. Please, for point of correction, there is a referendum in 1999 Constitution. Please, I'm trying to enlighten you now. Referendum is in section 8 of the 1999 Constitution. However, is a referendum for creation of additional states. So don't say there is no referendum in that is only 1963. No, 1999 has a referendum in section 8. Done. The other thing I want to talk about is somebody saying that when we decommission the constitution, there will be a vacuum. No, that is you. That's why it took Mr. Don April. It took him time to explain the demand, and the Mazi is okay. If it's possible, you can get the email of all the participants. You can email them the constitutional force majeure proclamation document and possibly point them to the place where you have the 5 demands. We're saying that, first of all, they will acknowledge the dispute and then decommission the constitution. There will be a transition process. We're not saying there won't be. And also, we've been saying that those in government should still be in government right now. They should still be there. But there will be a transitioning body with the constituent powers. Constituent powers mean that they have powers above the Constitution. For instance, Section 8 is talking about referendum for creation of states. That transitioning body will put in place mechanism for regional referendum, not creation of state this time around, outside of the constitution. In the meantime, you still have your governors, you still have your senate, you still have your House of Rep, you still have your minute. Everything is still in place, but they will be operating with limited, capability. Why the transitioning body is going on? Let's make this simple. Okay. In 1990 to 1994, there was no vacuum in South African government or South African society. The apartheid government was still there, while CODESA was working out new constitutional protocol. So there is not going to be any vacuum on that one. And then, well, somebody, I just laughed. Okay, somebody said we are talking. Go and research what is called solemn assembly. There are countries that have existed for 100 years. They have never had a solemn assembly. A solemn assembly is a unique something. Somebody may live up to 80 years without witnessing one. And the solemn assembly was done on the 27th of April, 2015 in Nigeria, in Port Harcourt, for the first time in the history of that country. And then in Ibadan at Adama Singwa Stadium, there was also another solemn assembly. And then in Makurdi, there was one. On the 11th of December 2018, there was Freedom Park proclamation. And so when somebody said that we are talking, and nothing is happening, it's a little bit, I'm kind of, I wouldn't want to use the word disappointed, but I'm surprised. So finally,
Clifford, I think, sorry, I think that's a very fine place to leave it. Tony is back. Can we just quickly, we are rounding up now. Tony, if you can hear me clearly, can you take those questions? Can you quickly, please, make your submission in 2 minutes? I know it's a tall order, but please, can you do it? Tony, are you there?
You need to unmute, Tony. You need to
unmute yourself, please.
Unmute again.
No.
Yes, I've done that now. Please, I want everybody present in the house to help us hail Njenje Media. He's gone out of his way. He's been extraordinary. We couldn't do with any less. Let me start with the last comment, Marcel, who was talking about Rawlings and what Rawlings did. I can inform us now, in 2007, at the tail end of Obasanjo's administration, you remember that Bill Clinton came to Nigeria in some aid kind of conference. I had the privilege of sitting down with Jerry Rawlings because he had gotten to hear about what we were doing as at that time. And he seized the opportunity of being in Abuja to acquaint himself of where we were. And in the private conversation I had with him at Hilton, he did tell me that what we were doing was far better than what they did in Ghana in terms of killing off those who caused the problem. That the few people they killed, Ghana had not recovered from it. And that if we succeed in taking down the constitution that has caused this problem we're facing, the constitution that embodies the bondage we're talking about, that to be infinitely better. And so I can tell us that we have finally succeeded in approaching our problem through that flank. The changes that will come from the collapse of that constitution are so deep that even if the devil were to emerge in any of these spaces, he will not be able to do the kind of things that Nigeria is doing to us at this time. That's for one. I go to the first question, Vincent from Italy. He was asking, what can we really do without the National Assembly? No. Our sovereignty, the sovereignties that were confiscated in 1914, that were again confiscated under this 1999, through this whole period between 1999 and 1914, various instruments being used, including force and guile, brutal force and guile. In going after that constitution, it is because we recognize the sovereignty for where it belongs. The owners of the sovereignties are the ones we have organized. The Yoruba could be a country of 60 million people if Nigeria was not occupying that space today. The lower Niger, that's the south, south, and southeast, as we call them now, could be a country of 70 million people if Nigeria was not intervening. Middle belt could be a country of 42 million people, able to feed the whole of Africa if Nigeria was not messing up their lives. And so we were able to get all of these people onto one side against those who have come from outside the borders of Nigeria, the invaders from Futujalon, to say, look, we own these sovereignties. We do not require anybody in Abuja or anybody in government house to agree with us for our sovereignties to be, to be asserted. It's not something that has to be created or granted us. The UN instrument on the subject matter, the UN instrument on the right to self, the relief we seek from the imposition of Nigeria, from being corralled into a union that will not be discussed. The remedy we seek is called self-determination. The UN instrument on the right to self-determination is one that accords us that remedy without anybody having to agree with us, including the federal government of Nigeria, by whatever name they call themselves these days. And so it is a straightforward situation in which we do not require the National Assembly. For those who are talking about what National Assembly will do, the mandate of National Assembly, the legislative mandate of National Assembly does not include constitution making. National Assembly make laws according to the Constitution. Let those who have not read it go to read it. That the National Assembly is to make laws for the good governance of the country according to the Constitution. The issue on the table now is that we have not made any Constitution. People wrote decrees and said, we have made the Constitution. And we say we have not made the Constitution. And we went to court in 2007 to say we have not made any Constitution. And that is the issue that has to be resolved. I'm sure we saw Ayo Adebanjo on Arise TV not long ago, saying that the question on the table now is that we have not a union. We do not have a union anymore because it is that constitution that corrals us into this union of death. Let us understand that the matter of the constitution is one in which we are being alleged to have submitted into this union and to have made this constitution as we have it now. And that is what we came out in this alliance to say, we have not agreed to be in any union and we have not made this constitution. These are two separate subject matters. And if you go to the preamble to that constitution, you will see where that allegation is standing in black and white, that we, the people of Nigeria, have solemnly resolved to live in unity. That is the first allegation. The second allegation is that we have therefore made this constitution to define our union. Again, false. And so what we have done in going after that constitution to say it must go down is to bring us to where there's no union, and therefore we have to go into deciding what we do with our sovereignties that have been hijacked. And back to Marcel, that was asking about are we going back to 1963? No, if that constitution goes down, there is no union from the moment it goes down. There's no union. The people talking about 1963 are those who think that constitution is you remove one, you bring the other. The one we have on the table now, if we say if it goes down, then we have no union. And the first order of business will be to recommit to being in a union before we begin to discuss the terms of the union. Those are two different subject matters. Remember that Yadudu, the one that presided over how the constitution came, the one that was in the dark room from where that constitution was birthed, in July of 2020, had gone to raise alarm that those who were planning this onslaught against that constitution are going to bring Nigeria to where the basis of the union will be truncated. He said it will be a matter of, how did he even put it? He said that the basis of the union will be unhinged. The legal basis of the Nigerian union will be unhinged if that action is taken. I can tell us at this time that on the 16th of December, that constitutional force majeure that was proclaimed in the manner it was became the point at which the legal basis of the Nigerian union got unhinged. And if you thought it was a joke, I'm sitting in Nigeria now. Many of us are outside. I'm in Nigeria now. I can report to you that the caliphate that says they are now ready for restructuring, they don't know the meaning of restructuring. They think restructuring is the way they are defining it. The caliphate that says they are now ready to, they have now realized that we don't have a union anymore. And that if they don't come come down from their high horse, we'll just come to where those who are choking in this union will sit back in their blocks. In their Yoruba will sit back in Yoruba land and say they don't understand the Nigeria you are talking about anymore. The lower Niger will sit in their territory, the middle belt will sit in their territory and just disown you. If you come to them in the name of Nigeria, if you come to any of these three blocks in the name of Nigeria, in the midst of this discussion, not at their invitation, whether you are in uniform or you are not in, or you come from the forest, they are going to ask you to leave. That is where we are. We don't have a union anymore. So whether it's Nigerian Army or Nigerian Navy or Nigerian NNPC, anything that brings you to the territory in this region, in which in this union, in which you are not invited, you are going to have to tell the people why you are coming into their space.
Thank you very much, Tony. That's a very fine place to leave it. Then we are going to take the last three final questions, and that's going to be from Emeka Onyebuchi, I believe. Emeka, can you quickly unmute yourself? Then we have Emeka Ogu and Emeka Okebu, I believe, as well. And you can just make your question less than 1 minute, please. Emeka, can you go ahead?
Thank you, Mazi. It's not necessarily a question, it's just something I need to flag up. And it has to do with our communication. You will agree with me that in this particular juncture, what we say and the people we address, the audience, is very important. In the course of this presentation, a lot of people made mention of the North without differentiating between the Middle Belt and the core North. It's very important that we reiterate when we address the audience or the public that we are referring to the far North or the Sharia territory, in order not to bring confusion, because a layman or a street man overhearing the North, all that Nigerians know about the North is the region bordering Benue towards Sokoto and Kano. They don't know any other thing. But in this instance, we know the Middle Belt and the South are pursuing self-determination. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, my brother there. It is a very, very fine and a very fantastic clarification to make, because most times, when you say North as a compound, invariably, the Middle Belt that's been working with you somehow lump them together. Is a very fine distinction. So can we take the next Emeka Ogu, please? Emeka, can you quickly, less than 1 minute, ask your question? Emeka Ogu. Okay, can we have Fabian, please? Emeka Ogu is not yet ready.
Yes,
Fabian, go ahead.
Can you hear me?
Yes, Fabian, we can hear you.
Right, I think I'm taken aback because the process we are going through seems to be confused now because when you talk officially to give 90 days mandate, after the 90 days mandate, I don't expect us to be discussing the constitution anymore. But what we shall do to make our journey shorter. You all know that since 1989, the Soviet Union, Yugoslavia, Czechoslovakia closed. There are now 34 new nations in Europe. They play the football, they play Olympics, they take part in anything. So if we have reached the point we have gone now, I don't think we have the chance to come and be discussing 1999 election. But what we shall do, which is something that has been mentioned here by 2 or 3 people, the only way to bring down the constitution made by a state is through referendum. So it is time to organize a regional referendum or whatever. If we meet here, continue talking about constitution, it's not good for me. It's not official. When we reach 90 days period and it passes, constitution is no more our issue, but how to deliver ourselves from the situation we find ourselves.
Thank you very much, Mr. Fabian. But without attempting to answer a question that I do not have authority to do, but I do also understand that if I understand what Tony and NINAS has done, they said 90 days, and there is another consultation period of 30 days, which we are still within that 30 days of consultation. But I will allow Tony to answer that question. I'm going to take the last question this evening. Emmanuel, can you quickly unmute? You're going to be the last person before we call it a day. Emmanuel, quickly. Emmanuel, can you quickly unmute yourself? Okay, Tony, I'll come back to you, then I'll let Emmanuel go now. Tony, can you take that, the questions that have been asked, then we wrap it up.
Right, thank you. Very quickly, I start with the last one, Mecca or Boom. Just to be clear, I will ask everybody present in this meeting and all of those who discuss such matters with them to please again, go and read the proclamation, the constitutional force majeure proclamation, even if not all, the operative part where those 5 demands were made. The paragraphs leading to that demand and the comments immediately after the demands. That's interpreting what has happened to everybody. If anybody read that, they will immediately realize that something has changed. That constitution was taken to the mortuary on that day. We also said we were going to reconsider our allegiance, that's the alliance territory. We'll reconsider its allegiance to that constitution. That's the next thing we said we're going to do. But our demands were directed to the federal government of Nigeria. And so at the end of the 90 days, the federal government did not come. If we were to move quickly and straight to taking that action of reconsidering our allegiance to that constitution, the people who will suffer from what we do are the ones, the senators and the House members and the elected officials from our territory. And so we said, we'll take 30 days, since our demands were not addressed to them, we'll take 30 days to have bedroom discussions with them, because they came from our midst. They ostensibly represent us in Abuja. They ostensibly represent us in the various government houses in our state capitals on account of that constitution. We said, let us take 30 days from the 17th of March to discuss with them. Those 30 days are running right now.
Sorry, Tony, go ahead.
The 30 days is running right now and will expire by the 16th of April in 2021. Then will come a third period, still consultations, because since it was only the federal government that was confronted with our demands, the elected officials from the territory, that's the states and the senators, whoever from here, the other constituency that we need to talk with before we take that action, because that action will affect everybody, the populace and international stakeholders. From the midnight of 16th of April, we'll go into the discussion with the owners of the sovereignty and the international stakeholders. By that date, that's the 17th, that's the next day, we'll be announcing how much time we'll require to consult that last segment. It is when we conclude with that last segment that we can beat our chest to say we have told everybody. We gave the federal government 90 days to come for exclusive discussion. They did not come. We gave the state governments and all of those elected from the alliance territory 30 days. We are on, I think this is the 12th, 11th day or so of April. Those 30 days will expire by the 16th, midnight of 16th day of April. If they do not come, we'll then move to the balance of the stakeholders, meaning the populace and international stakeholders. It is after that that we'll now come back to what will happen. And so it's not something, if we took any action immediately after 90 days, we will be shortchanging those we did not address our demands to. That's what I was trying to explain. And the reason for the consultations that are going on. That is for Emeka Obum. We also come back to Emeka Onyebuchi. I think just a comment he made. Somebody, I was reading through the comments in the discussion, the questions that people are asking. I saw a comment, a question from somebody say, will Buhari preside over the transition? If we go to the 5 points of demand, which is why we say, let everybody please again, go and read exactly what we wrote down. We said it must be in consultation with the owners of the sovereignties that will work out the transition that will prevail. At this time, it is the owners of the enterprise, the owners of the sovereignties that were corralled together to form Nigeria that are speaking. The government is like the management of a company. At the time, the owners of the company are discussing. The owners of the company are the decision makers for the affairs of the company. And so it is what they decide that the management team will have to work with. What we are doing in NINAS is way above the level of federal government of Nigeria, or state government of Nigeria, or National Assembly of Nigeria. The owners of the sovereignty are the ones discussing. So if anybody in government house, whether it's president or National Assembly or governor, is thinking that we are waiting to come to get their approval for anything we say, such a person is an illiterate on the subject matter of sovereignty. It is the owners of the sovereignty that will decide what will happen, going forward. Like the owners of the company that will have to decide over and above the management team. And so we just said the matter of who will be part of the transition or who will head it or the time frame or composition is just something that has to demand number 4 in the proclamation itself. The demand number 4 says the federal government has to go into discussion with the owners of the sovereignties to decide all of those details. If they don't come, before we proceed, if they don't come, we have given the federal government their own period. We have given the state government their own period. We are going to give the populace their own period, including the diplomats. It is when we've done with all of that that we'll come back to what will happen. I tell you, our sovereignty is back on the table, has been back on the table since the 16th of December. But we don't want anarchy. That's why we offered them, transition so that they can be on the table when we're doing all of this. If they don't come, it is well within our reach to proceed with what we have to do. I do not see where they can come to say we can't do anything.
Okay, thank you very much. A very fine place once more to leave it. And I think Fabian Ukebu probably is not entirely satisfied, raising his hand again. An exception here, I will give you 30 seconds, please. 30 seconds, Fabian. What is the question?
Tony, well said. So you are in Nigeria, so you can take care of Nigerian business. Those of us outside, there was something we talked in the last meeting, i.e., a good soup requires good money. We said those of us outside should now be making an effort to contribute something so that the objectives can be pursued with vigor. Emeka, can you tell them that you have already opened the account and everybody can pay into that account to enable things to be happening so that Tony can take care of whatever is happening in Nigeria? Our duty is to give him, as a good manager, it's my duty to listen to my staff. They manage me and I give them the tools to do the work. So our duty, those of us outside, is to give any support we can to help people at home to be doing the pieces they're doing. Emeka, can you inform them what your account you opened?
Yeah, thank you very much, Mr. Okebu. Briefly, we in the UK and Europe at large, we made a financial appeal to our people to help us execute one of the projects we have at hand. Some people are talking about what impact are we making on the ground, but there are so many programs that are out there that need financing, that need money, need support. That project is, a charter of relationship, which is an agreement between us in the southeast and south region. That project has been ongoing since 2015, and it is at this final stage. And we're appealing to our people, especially those in the UK and Europe, to please support us with regards to that project. There has been an appeal letter going around. If you need more information, please contact me. My number is 077-3302-6381. Thank you very much.
Okay, very fine place to leave it. I think I will be handing over to Jane now. Tony?
Just to add to what Emeka was saying, please, what Emeka was talking about was in relation to our diaspora people in the UK. There were things they were meeting among themselves what particular contribution they can make to what LNC was doing at home and NINAS. And so the matter of support for what we're doing, if we get on the NINAS platform or the Freedom from Nigeria platform, that www.freedomfromnigeria.com or www.ninasffn.org, we will see the information regarding the support we require from our diaspora at this time. We have things we are doing at home. 80% of what NINAS is doing is not in the public space. It's only 20% we're seeing. If anybody thought it was by Facebook and social media that we're engaging this monster that is more than 200 years old and getting them to pack their bags, did anybody see what has happened from the north, from the caliphate, that said they are now ready for restructuring? Did anybody see that? If anybody saw that, you will realize that they are trying to make a U-turn, but they do not understand the meaning of constitution. That's why they say they want to hold on to power, but they are ready to do restructuring. We have suffered so tremendously from their mediocrity. We are now about to benefit tremendously from their mediocrity. They do not understand the meaning of constitution. They do not understand what will happen if the constitution goes down, and it's going down. But if anybody wants to know where things will go next, Yadudu, that says that the legal basis of the union will be unhinged, is the guide. So they're just waking up to that. And all we need to do, pay no attention to them. Pay no attention to them. The owners of the sovereignty have become a majority. That constitution that empowered them is out of the way. And we're just going to walk straight to what we do with our sovereignties. Referendums just to bring some kind of order around it. But I tell you, the default, if no meeting holds, everybody according to their geography and their sovereignty will proceed with their life. That's where we are.
Thank you very much once more. On this note, I will bring in Jenny back again. And before I do, I will say thank you everyone for joining us this evening. For those of you who have joined this program, and obviously you were meant to register for this conversation this evening, be rest assured that those documents Tony talked about will be emailed to you. And for many of you who do not yet subscribe to Njenje Media TV various platforms, you can do so on the Facebook. You can follow them on Facebook, on Twitter, and on YouTube. And I've been informed by one of my staff members that there's been a report on the Facebook pages, that is the NINAS pages, Constitutional Force Majeure, and Njenje Media TV page, that the live stream has been stopped. That means it's good. It means that it's hitting the right code, and the people, those in authority, are not happy. Okay, so I mean, personally, I like it. It's going to be disputed, but it's good sign that someone is taking note and someone is really listening. On that note, that's made my day. Thank you once more for joining us. And Jenny, over to you.
Good night.
Thank you all very much for joining us. And I cannot overstate the fact that it's what we do now that carries the day. It's what you and I do now that will carry the day. So you need to be part of the process. We've given you the information. Please provide us with your information so we can keep you abreast of what needs to happen. But we've got a mass mobilization going on because we need to bring everyone together. All of that takes money. And so we need everyone to be conscious of that and make a donation upfront and then a monthly donation that would help the process. We are so close because you can see that the government that be, they are frightened and they are shaken, and they have every right to be, okay? But we know the situation that is on the ground. We know the impact on our people. We see what they're doing. So we all must, not just ourselves, but reach out to others as well. So stay tuned. There's a lot more coming. We're hoping that you're going to be spreading the word once we call these meetings, because it's really important that everyone gets really clear on what's going on and the part that we all must play to make it happen. So thank you again. And there is more, as I said, coming up, and we're relying on everyone to support the road to freedom. Thank you very much. Thank you, Tony. Thank you, Njenje. You have been amazing always with regards to supporting this cause. And I thank everyone that took the time to really put this together and be able to communicate information in a way that everyone can understand. And I'm hoping that everyone here will, in future communications, become part of the presenters, because we need you to run these town halls wherever you are and all the way to Nigeria as well. So I am relying on everybody here to get in touch with us so that they can be trained, so that they can run this whole thing by themselves and bring other people on board. Thank you all very much, and have a great rest of your weekend.
Thank you once more, and thank you everyone for joining us this evening. We would now say, all of you watching us on the various social media platforms, au revoir, as they